Our goal today is simple. We want to start a conversation in the community. We want to talk about some of our own experiences. We want to be candid and real. We want to provide as much value as we possibly can. Our goal is to talk about some of our experiences in the business, working through a recession myself, selling real estate, talk about that, talk about Bob says Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, Bob. It is Happy St. Patrick's Day. We don't get the crowds today, but nonetheless, we can have fun with it. Anyways, where was I going with that? So our goal is to talk about how you can succeed in today's economy. We want to have an open conversation. We're going to start with some of our own experience. So to get the conversation started, if you guys have any questions, type them in. Michael, I'm Calvin from Smart Agents and Authorify. We got Joe on the line. We got Michael. Michael's going to help us with running everything and answering questions. Joe and I are going to talk, and then we're going to open it to conversations and get you guys involved as much as you'd like to. We can talk about what we're familiar with, but we'd also like to hear from you guys or from our community, as well as get the conversation started, because once we get this rolling, we don't know what the next 30, 60, or 90 days, or even the next 6 months is going to hold with the current circumstances. So our goal is to learn, to adapt, to put this stuff out there that's going to help you guys be more successful in the business, to help you with your marketing, to learn from each other and pull together as a community and really learn from this and grow. This is developed very quickly, obviously, and our goal is to move and to rise to the occasion, to lead the industry, and to really collaborate, not hide in fear, and that's really where we want to start. So, Michael, are we ready? And Joe, do you have anything to add to that before we get rolling?
I'll just say, after talking to brokers, agents from across the country and hearing the pandemic and how it's traveling, I mean, the radio airwaves seem just buzzing with it. There's always an underlying opportunity, and that's what we really want to talk about today. So we'll share some experiences that we've had, then more importantly, experiences that other agents have had, and what's kind of happening in real time. The goal here is so you can walk away at the end of this event and say, okay, I see something a little differently. I see opportunities now, and I know how I can actively go after them. So I think it's going to be it's kind of shot from the hip type of event, but it'll be really helpful. And I really encourage all your questions, all your concerns, to make this more of a conversation versus just a talk act.
So here's what we're planning to cover today. One is we want to talk about the housing market. What do we think can happen as a result of this? Obviously, no one can predict the future, but we can learn from the past. And I want to talk about that a little bit and also get your guys' input, especially if you've been in the business through a recession or through 9/11, how we thrived in the last recession, kind of some of the things that we did, some of the things that we learned, and then open it up and see anyone who's been through 9/11 or the last recession. What did you do differently? What can we learn from it? How can we use that and grow? How to get listings during the uncertainty? There's a lot of new concerns that we didn't have a few weeks ago. How can we work through them? What have some of you guys done to work through them? Because there's a lot of different concerns, as we all know. We may not get into the weeds on it. And then how can we grow your business, and how can you take your business to the next level based on the changing market, based on everything that's going on? So these are the 4 big talking points. It's not all about us. We're going to share our experience, and then if anyone has anything to add, we want to turn this into a conversation and then take it from here. We'll take our takeaways. We'll learn what your guys' biggest concerns are, what are the biggest challenges, and we'll keep this conversation going over the coming weeks. We will work hard for you guys. We will provide as much value as we possibly can and help you guys take your business to the next level. So the first thing I really want to start with is, where are we at? Where are we at today? So the first thing that I can say I learned from going through the last recession was adapting with the change instead of fighting it. So Zig Ziglar has a really good quote, and he says, fear has 2 meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And really this comes down to a choice. The next 6 to 12 months, or even the next few weeks, are going to greatly be influenced by how you respond to the crisis. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to look in the mirror and say, Calvin, what are you going to do to change and adapt to this versus fighting it and resisting it? So this is what happened to me over the last few weeks. As I saw the news get hyped up, I was in denial. I was where most agents are. I was like, you know what? The media thrives on fear and chaos. This is just another little thing, and it's going to disappear. That's where I started. And I know a lot of really good business owners and real estate agents that started where I was at. From there, I was like, this isn't going away. I started hearing more and more. And I'm like, I started to accept it because we can't deny it. We can't ignore it because it just kept happening. Things kept happening, as we all know. From there, it's action. All of us are now responding to the chaos. And the reason I'm reflecting is you have to understand that your clients are in the same seat. Everyone's going through this. You're going through this. I'm going through this. We're all at different stages. I still know people who are in denial. I know people who are starting to accept it and be like, oh, this is real. And then there's people who have taken action. So let's talk about the action. There are 3 human instincts that we need to recognize that how we react. One is we fight back and we try to overcome the issue. One, we run, flight, right? And by running, I mean we go and hide. An example is we go to the grocery store and we buy all the toilet paper and all the food. In my local area, I just got back from San Francisco with my wife, and we didn't have groceries in the house because we've been gone for a week. And I'm like, all the grocery stores are wiped out. Toilet paper's for sure gone, right? And so that is how a lot of people responded. I tell you what, if there's no food in the coming weeks, America's in apocalypse. We're all Walking Dead, right? This is going to be a huge situation. I don't think it's going to get to that, but that's how a lot of people responded. They started running. The next thing that I see happening a lot is people are scared and they're freezing and they're like, oh my gosh, the world's going to end. And I understand, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to feelings. Everyone is at risk across the entire world. Obviously, we're more at risk the older you get. But these are the 3 big ways people are responding. This is how I'm responding. This is maybe how you're responding. And we need to understand, how are your clients responding? Where are they at on their journey? And how can we be as sensitive and helpful to them in their current situation? Because it's not going to change. This is just the reality we live in. How we react to it is going to make or break our coming weeks and our coming months, and how we respond, how we do in the future. Then let's see if my slide's going. There we are. So at this point, everyone has 2 options. Myself, you, Joe, Michael, everyone here has 2 options. We can run, we can hide, we can freeze, we can listen to the media, we can get on social media and talk about it all day. Everyone who's taking time off work and is quarantined in their home, we can all sit here and just feed each other's fire of fear. And that's where a lot of people are at. Me personally, I'm like, you know what? I want to go, when this started blowing up, I'm like, I didn't believe the media. I just didn't believe it. And so I went out and I seeked out experts. I found some really good interviews that some people had done. I listened to them and I looked at what are experts saying, not is what is the media saying and the crowd saying that I'm not a disease guy. I have no damn clue what's going to happen from that perspective. But at this point, that's what most people have done. So now we're addressed with what is reality and how are we going to change. So your option is run, hide, fly, freeze, whatever, or you can decide I'm going to change and adapt to the market that's coming down the pipe. And I can gain ground while everyone else is frozen in fear. If they're sticking their head below the surface and they're saying either they're denying it or they're struggling, this is where us as agents can get up and lead. This is where homeowners need an agent more than ever before. In the hot market before this, it was easy for somebody to go on the market and sell for sale by owner. Their home sold quick. They didn't need us. Now they need an expert and they need your help. This is a crisis where an agent and an expert who is not as emotionally attached as the homeowner themselves can serve. This is where we can step up, we can lead, and we can lead the pack. And that's what I'm going to do, me personally. Now, obviously, we all have to make a choice. And every single person that you're going to be helping has to make a choice. Or whether they make, I've talked to people in the past, I'm like, making no choice is a choice. So if you decide to do nothing, you are making a choice to do nothing. So doing nothing is still a choice. So even if you're dealing with clients that are like, this is going to go away, this is nothing, I'm just going to ignore it. Well, you're not going to ignore it. That is a choice. So at this point, we have those 2 choices. And at this point, it's up to us what we decide we're going to do as well as our clients. So my question for you guys is, people need an agent. They need your help. They need people like you to step up and serve. What are your plans to lead and help people in this time of need? What are you going to do? I know agents have already been having conversations. Michael or Joe, I'd love you guys to pipe in, but go to the chat box. We have a lot of agents on here. What are you doing? Type it in, and I'm going to take a few minutes. Joe, why don't you recap that and kind of tie this up in a bow and while we give people a chance to respond to this. So guys, go to the chat box. What are you going to do, or what have you already done to deals that have blown up, people that have decided to back out, sellers that decided to pull their home off the market? What have you done? What has worked? What's been an issue? How are you going to lead this? That's my question to you. Or are you just going to bury and hide and freeze and hunker down? That's my question. So, Joe, go ahead.
So, and I think what Calvin's really emphasizing here, you got to think creatively. You got to be creative. You have to be resourceful. And sometimes that can be hard when everything seems like it's just going just crazy. The media's doing this, but it's not just the media. Stores are closing down. But I encourage you to chat the box, and there's the only wrong answer is no answer. What comes to the top of your mind when you think, what can I do as a crazy idea that I don't think I can do, or something that I think I can do? How can I be a leader in my community and not fight the media? Because you can't fight the media. You can't just sit there and take political stances. That doesn't get anywhere in this situation, and especially as an agent. So how can you support your community? How can you think and be creative and resourceful? Because here's the thing, the housing market is going to take some of a hit, like the stock market, like everything else. But what's taking more of a hit is the agents. Agents are going to crash and burn all around you. There's opportunities for you to stand up. You don't have to be Superman. You don't have to be the Albert Einstein. You just got to stand up, be resourceful, and make yourself available when others are hiding. And that's really what it comes down to. So I just encourage you to think creatively. Be creative. And fear is going to be there, right? We're all afraid. Courage is going on in spite of fear. That's what I tell people in public speaking. It's about still having the butterflies in your stomach, but being able to have them fly in formation and control that fear enough to have courage and say, I'm just going to do something a little differently. And that's the innovators in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, what were some of the most popular things that people responded with to that question? How are they overcoming and responding to this market conditions? Can you share a few of those answers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Robin Barnes. She's creating informational flyers for her clients on buying and selling. So a lot of what we're doing is getting that information out early. I think that's really super important. Penny was talking about going back and doing short sales and becoming an REO specialist. I think that's something we're going to be talking about in a little bit. Zoom meetings, the virtual meetings, that's a big one that we're seeing quite a bit on both Facebook and here on Zoom. Let me check. We have another question down here. Yeah, a lot of people just kind of letting them know that everybody's, we're all still here. I think that's the main thing that people are saying is we're just trying to adapt, and virtual meetings is a big one I'm seeing.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to figure out how to get my controls to go to the right spot, so I'm trying to mess with it. All right, any other good ones? So we got the virtual meetings, creating flyers, changing to an REO agent. What else? Anything else? Let me figure out. I need a little time to see if I can get my screen in the right spot.
Yeah, Rihanna is talking about moving completely virtually. I think that's one of the main things we're definitely seeing. Lowering getting ads out there, preparing new policies and recommendations for document and tools. And again, Margie right there said definitely more virtual. So I think right now, I think that's our main one is going virtual. I think with everybody distancing, I think that's one of the biggest ones we're seeing.
Yeah, and who knows how long that's going to take. Right now, it's 15 days is what Trump put out there as their plan, but it could go longer. Who knows where that's going to go? Are they going to shut down domestic flights? Are people even going to be willing in a few weeks to go out and see people, or let an agent come in and list their home? And that's something we're going, as we figure out what is it that we can do, like meeting people virtually. We'll create articles. We'll show you the resources. That's one thing we put out on the Smart Agents blog just this morning or yesterday, is all the virtual tools that you have, how you can use them, and how to get started with them. Correct, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's
okay.
Our biggest thing.
All right, cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is, will the housing market crash? Will the housing market crash? Now, obviously, this is based on my opinion, some of my research. This is based on limited information. Things could change greatly over the coming weeks. And I also kind of want to get anyone's opinion if you've been in the market through 9/11, especially, because I believe this is similar to that. Or obviously it's a crisis, so was 9/11, as well as the last recession. So here's some of my research and what I've dug through. First off, I don't think the housing market is going to crash short term because of the following. Low inventory, the low interest rates with the Fed slashing interest rates again, the pent-up demand in a lot of communities, especially out west in California, for an example. There's been a lot of pent-up demands. FSBO sell quickly, homes sell the same day. So there's a lot of buyers that have been trying to buy homes that are ready, waiting. Now with the good interest rates, I think people will jump off the fence and take advantage. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of people also freaked out. They're going to say, listen, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I just want to get out and wait for this thing to blow over. We're also going to have motivated sellers who need help selling. For an example, some of the people who have their circumstances just changed. With the hospitality industry, they're going to take a huge hit. So is restaurants and anybody who does travel or anything like that. They're going to come into a position of having to make really tough decisions. We've seen this in the past when the subprime lending and even before then with 9/11, but there's going to be some people changing their position based on what's happening. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but if you show up as an agent that's there to help, not take advantage of them, as their circumstance change, they're going to need a professional, especially with somebody who's been through it or can learn from the past on what happened with short sales and foreclosures and bank-owned properties. There's going to be a lot of motivated sellers. So what will help happen to the housing market in the long term? Obviously, it's really hard to tell, but as I've gone out and read a lot of articles, there's been a huge shortage of homes with new housing starts were really low after the recession hit 2006 to 2016. The NAR leading economist said there was around 870,000 homes built per year, and it was a windfall of about 8.3 million. Now, obviously that's picked up between 2016 through today. I went and pulled some different stats, but long story short, there's been a huge shortage of new homes being built. So long term, I hope that this blows over. It's not it doesn't last long. Summer comes around. Hopefully it kills off the virus and things turn around and long term we're not affected. Do we really know at this point? No. But the next few, 30 to 60 to 90 days are really going to tell how the market goes. And I think the biggest thing that we have is fear. Fear is what drives the economy. It drives it in a good way and a bad way. At this point, if this lasts and the fear sticks around, it could affect the market a lot more in the long term, just like happened in the last market. So the next thing I want to get from you guys is, what do you guys think on the housing market? Do any of you guys who've been through the recession especially, do you have any input that you can add to this? What are your thoughts? And also, what is your mindset? Because as an agent, as the market changed in the last recession, if you were out there ready and changing with the economy, you thrived. At the same time, a lot of agents that did not adapt went out of business. If you look at from the bottom of the market to today, I think at the bottom of the market, there was right under 1 million agents out actively hanging their license at a brokerage in the United States. At the peak of the market a few months ago, I think it was right around 1.4 million agents with 2 million people having a license in America alone. So that's a huge difference of almost 400,000 agents between the bottom of the market to where we were at right before this all happened. That's a huge difference. So with that, what do you guys think is going to happen? And then next, I want to talk about what have we learned from the past? What have I learned from the past? And get some of your guys' feedback as well. So Joe, anything to add to that? And Michael, do you want to look for some comments from some people who submit?
Yeah, and it comes down to how are you going to adapt? And as human beings, we're resilient. We're resilient, most resilient creatures on the globe. But we have habits, and the habits are to do two things. Usually, most human reaction is, okay, I'm going to take action. So I'm going to do less of what I'm doing, or I'm going to do more of what I'm doing. And sometimes doing more of what you're already doing is not adapting, because it's that fight. I'm going to fight everything in my way. I'm going to fight the media. I'm going to fight this. We can't do that. Adapting is taking a step back, removing out of that fight, flight, or freeze part of our mind and thinking, what do I see in this situation that I can take advantage of? And in doing so, I'm going to help a lot of people, because I've talked to agents back in the REO days, they were doing 200 transactions a year. And then, so they transitioned into that, and then they got kind of comfortable, and that went away. And then they had this other transition of now I have to become an agent. Before I just worked for the banks. The faster we can trial and error, right? Go down a road, hit a dead end, turn around, do a U-turn, and react by responding differently. I think that's what it comes down to. So it's really, and this isn't really popular or sexy. It's digging into yourself and finding, thinking, what can I do? Because if you're doing something differently than everybody else, it can be a lonely road. But those are usually the innovators who end up leading the industry.
Good point. Michael, do you want to read off like Robin's comment, for example, and just read a few of those things before we move on?
Yeah, so I think one of the things we're talking about is, how people are adapting and things like that. And one of the comments we got earlier is getting in front. This is from Catherine, getting in front of people on Facebook like this, and showing how you're supporting your community, kind of getting involved and getting yourself out there and getting, kind of broadening that sphere, if you will. Another one is, let's see, consider mailings. Right now everybody's home. So, having your mailing flyers and things like that, sending out to people. People are going to be home to receive those and have time to go through that stuff. So I think there's even, let's see, working towards, with FSBOs later on, because these are a lot of people that are going to have a lot of questions that they're already kind of in the dark because they're not using an agent. So now they're really going to have a lot of questions and, and adapting your business to that as well.
Yeah, a few other things. I saw Robert said that the banks are flush with cash. I agree. We haven't been in subprime lending. It's been people who've gotten loans are good lenders. So it's not like we're in the type of economy that happened before the recession. It's not like this is I believe this is gonna be more like 9/11. It's going to be shorter. It's hit us fast. It caught a lot of us off guard. I know a lot of, I was reading a big investor, a hedge fund owner, and he was like, this is not how I expected this sort of thing, a correction, if you want to call it, to start. So I thought that was a really good point. So hopefully this comes up, we get over it, we address it today. The other thing to think about, I think someone said it, I don't know who said it, is the amount of expireds that are going to come on the market. People are going to get scared and they're going to pull their homes off the market. So hopefully that will help with the supply and demand, keep the economy strong from a sales perspective from agents. The other thing is, with expireds comes an opportunity for new listings, because we'll talk about that more later. But people are home, people are going to answer the phone, people are curious, they're reading Facebook. A lot of people are off work, a lot of people are working from the house. So this is a really good time to go out there and fill your pipeline with listings, because when this corrects itself, when things change, if you have a bunch of listings, that means you're making sales. So that's a good part. Now let's talk a little bit about what we learned from going through this. So I got into real estate in 2006 here in North Florida. I joined my dad's team at Remax, and within a month of when I joined, his deal started falling apart. The economy was starting to shift. So as it changed, 2008, 2009, 10, it kept dropping. We adapted with the market. So I want to kind of tell you a little bit about some of the things we've done and start a conversation. If you've been in the market through the last recession, what can we learn from it? I believe, based on the 9/11 and the last recession, that agents that have been around are going to be ready to fight and get out there and win the business. And I think that I've seen agents out there and people, even big coaches that I followed when I first got in the business and I really respect, they say, we have been waiting for an opportunity for good agents who know the business to get up and rise, because a lot of the people are going to get scared and they're going to leave. So the first thing I'll say is to change with the market. As things change, I remember the last recession, things were happening slowly. They didn't all happen at once. And I remember so many agents fighting it, myself included. And I'm like, this is not going to get worse. Oh my gosh, we thought everything was great. It was going great for a long time. So many agents resisted the change. The ones that resisted the change and didn't change with the markets were the ones that got impacted the most. So for an example, when all of our listings originally, this is before short sales became a huge deal, we started a hybrid auction. And I'm just giving this example to kind of show what we did to adapt to the market. Buyers wouldn't get off the fence. They didn't want to buy. So we started doing a hybrid auction. as agents in Florida at the time, we were legally allowed to do an auction if we wanted, but it was a kind of a hybrid. We did a big open house and we started selling homes. We got buyers off the fence. As the market changed to short sales, we got into short sales. Our teams started working, selling a bunch of short sales. From there, bank-owned homes became huge. And obviously, there was people buying for investments. The market exploded. By the time we got to the bottom of the market in 2011, 2012, the market had completely changed. And just like Joe was saying earlier, a lot of agents that didn't change as the market went back to a positive, regular, hot market, and they were still stuck in REOs, they had to change. So as change comes, we can fight it, we can resist it, or we can adapt and go with it. What I propose is to adapt and go with it, regardless of what angle you take. In the last recession, there were lots of angles that you could have taken. And at this point, there's lots of ways you could handle it. You could go onto Facebook and you could calm the crowds in your market and pick up listings that way. You could go after expireds. You could get get in with the banks in case there's more foreclosures, like one of the agents was saying earlier. So as the change comes, how are you going to adapt to it? So my question for you is, did you sell homes through the last recession or through 9/11? And if so, what did you learn from it? Go to the chat box right now and enter that in there. Joe, do you want to talk? Because you got in the market a little bit later as things started to turn around. What were some of your experiences? Because things were changing then to a hot market when you entered it. Anything to add?
The stigma, when we get, front-sided, sideswiped by something that really just hits us, there's a there's a leftover of the trauma. And that's really what I saw in real estate when I got in on the tail end of that. People were uneasy. They were skeptical. I had to go in there and really lay out a big picture and then narrow it down to where they could take action, because there was a lot of people with expensive high-end homes. They spent $1 to $2 million on a home that's now selling for $600 to $700, and they want to move. That's a tough sale. So that's what I was seeing, is there were still people that had been through that, or their home was worth $1 million in the boom. They only owed a couple $100,000 on it, but now it was only worth about $400,000, and they had such a hard time parting with it because in the boom it was worth a lot more, and so they envisioned their house as this big lottery ticket. So I had to kind of combat that and had to really bring in, hey, it's not about the market, it's not about your house, it's about you, and about increasing that time that you have to go live in Texas with your grandson, right? You want to move on with your life because time is the most valuable asset, not money. So I had to paint this big picture, and then I could see when people got it, they got it. When they had that epiphany, it was like the vibe changed, everything changed, and they switched into a whole different perspective. So that was my experience coming in on the tail end of the recession.
Cool. Thank you, Joe. Michael, do you want to, I noticed some comments from like William and Ross. Do you want to call some of those out on what some of the other agents' experiences was in the last recessions?
Yeah. So Ross, for example, he talked about being, he's worked through several of the crises over the last 40 years, 9/11 included. And he said, one of the biggest things is he always made the mistake of acting in fear, and not this time. He's learned from those last time. I think that's really important. One of the things that we're seeing is people dealt with the last one was short sales, short sales over the last during the last recession.
So I thought William's point was another one. He said the competition always goes down at a higher percentage than the market does. As far as back as 82, the 18% interest rates drove the market down by 30%, but 65% of the licensed agents quit. So that's a really good point, William. So at this point, as an agent, are you going to quit, roll over, get out of the business? Or even like Ross was saying, are you going to respond to the fear? And when I've seen a lot of agents call our team and say, I'm scared, what in the world am I going to do? My biggest response is, guys, everyone is feeling fearful, feeling scared. What you do about it and how you respond is how your coming months and coming time is gonna be. It's gonna either be great or bad based on your mindset, based on what you believe, based on what you're buying into. So if you're scared and you run and hide and you are timid and you don't go out and lead and act with confidence, right now sellers need a sounding board. They have a lot of questions. They're going to ask you lots of questions. They're going to be way scareder than they were a month ago. And it's not like they were scared. Everyone had dollar signs because the market's just been going up and up and up and everything's been great. And all of a sudden, boom, it hit us. So they're going to have a lot of questions, especially sellers like, oh, should I take the home off the market? But if you respond like the rest of the agents, it's going to hurt your business. But right now, the good thing is a lot of agents are going to freeze, clamp down, get fearful, and it's an opportunity for you to get in there to lead and gain the business. So with that, let's talk a little bit about how to find listings in the growing market of uncertainty. So the first thing we talked about is your mindset. People need help to face the hardships. Don't be afraid to help them. So in the last recession, I remember joining my dad's team, and there was a couple that was facing hardship. They were losing their dream home. They had just built it. It was a beautiful home. I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but they couldn't afford the home that they had purchased. They had just moved into it, and my dad went to the sellers and he said, you guys should try to save the home. And he felt really bad for them, as we should. And it was a horrible situation. Long story short, because of my dad hesitating and trying to get them to turn around, the seller knew what needed to happen, and they were looking to my dad as an expert to get the home sold. And it's not like my dad had a heart and wanted to see these people succeed in their home. And I get it. What happened though is they missed an opportunity to sell their home as the market was falling, where they could have got out without dinging their credit much. I think they were like within $1,000 or $2,000 of where their loan was. They could have got out, walked away, and been away from this home that was dragging them down. Long story short, they did not seize that opportunity because they hesitated. Maybe my dad didn't push them hard enough. I don't remember all the details. But long story short, the home didn't sell. And as the market fell, it fell faster. Oops, pulling my headphone off the thing. It fell faster than they could keep up, and they ended up losing the home to foreclosure, and they had a way bigger hit to their credit. It was way harder. It was way more hardship. It dragged on. It put a lot of stress in their family, and it hurt them. The reason I tell this story is not to be unkind to my dad or the situation, but to tell the example, and we've all made this mistake. It's not like any of us are exempt. But in this time going forward, there's going to be sellers that may face hardship that need your help. Our goal is not to take advantage of them. Our goal is to lead and help and be there. They need an expert like you. So the first thing is mindset. How you believe and what you think is going to impact how you show up and serve. So if the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking in the mirror and I'm getting my mindset right, I'm talking to our team and I'm saying we have to start here in our own mind. That is first, number one, because if we show up and we don't have our mind figured out and our mindset right, we're not going to be able to serve at the level that we need to. So that's step number one. And I feel that is really, really important, is know where you stand, rise up, and get ready. The next thing is expired listings. A lot of people are going to be uncertain. They may deal with an agent that isn't certain, that's also fearful, that gives them bad advice, and they're going to pull their home off the market. Withdrawal, canceled listing, expired, whatever it is, this is going to be a time for you to come in and to provide a new point of view, to focus on the mindset first. I think there's going to be a huge opportunity. Who knows? We don't know yet, but in the coming few weeks, we're going to know what's happening based on what's going on. Do we want to be unkind to the other agent? Absolutely not. We want to lead with our heart, be kind, but show up and deliver. We are experts. We can help them. The next thing is vacant homes. People who need to sell. Maybe they moved, they got relocated, things changed, they go and get a job in a different community because maybe they lost their job or they're scared. I know years ago there was in Jacksonville, we're on a beach community. After one of the big hurricanes, I think that hit in 65, people ditched their real estate like crazy along the beach. Somebody bought a beachfront lot for $1,000 and it recently sold for over $1 million. That's how people can react at times. When that happens, show up. So look for vacants. That's another opportunity. Obviously, investors, people who want to take advantage of the low interest rates, maybe they can buy homes in cash flow. A lot of investors are going to change their approach. Maybe they're not going to flip and rehab right now because there's so much uncertainty in the market. But buy and hold investors, people who are scared of what's going on in the stock market and want to pull their home and put it into real estate. Maybe they're like, hey, the stock market is scaring me. I want something more stable that I can touch, feel, and get a monthly check from. Those are the type of investors you want to help. If that's a niche you're familiar with, get out there and start going to meetups like meetup.com. You can go out and there's probably a local investment group.
Oh.
Michael, did we lose him?
I think we lost Calvin. Yeah. Let me, I will ping him back real quick and then we will get him back.
I guess we lost him for a bit. I will share with you, I have a roll of toilet paper. I've been conserving my toilet paper. But on more of a serious note, while Calvin's doing that, I'm going to share something real quick. I got a call from a broker. I've been talking to a lot of brokers and real estate agents, and he called me up and he said, Joe, I'm freaking out. My agent's deals are falling apart. I don't know what to do. And so being the freak that gets in there and tries to sort things out, I talked to his agent. And one of the agents told me, they said, no, Joe, I have a buyer. And the buyer said they're not going to they can't get their money out of the stock market in order to close on the home. And so what I did, I went to his money manager, figured out how they can get the money out of there to buy the home. And so what happened, the home buyer had a concern, the agent jumped into action, and come to find out, he didn't feel comfortable pulling his money out of the market, and that's just what he told the agent. And then underlying that even more, he was afraid to tell his wife about the situation of the stock market crashing. And so there was a bunch of underlying issues. But instead of the agent figuring out those underlying issues, listening to understand and then to be understood, the whole thing blew up. And this was happening over and over in his brokerage. Agents were just trying harder versus really adapting to what their prospects were saying. And so I put something in the chat box about what are we hearing from prospects. And William said, I'm hearing everything in between. They're worried, some aren't worried. The point is, you want to go into a situation and you want to feel confident, right? Because that's going to come across. Not too confident where you won't listen to them. You want them to feel heard, to trust you, and you want to just have a level head going in so you can understand their real concerns, their real fears, adapt to those, and be a solution, like someone said as well in the chat box, versus trying to just try harder. And that's what I was seeing as I went through this brokerage and talked to these agents. The whole battle cry was try harder and to, beat the air even more versus slow down, listen to what your prospects are saying, hear them out, because they'll all have different concerns. And there's always an underlying concern under most conversations, especially when you're dealing with your prospects, because there has to be that level of trust before they really tell you. I mean, in this case, he didn't want to tell his wife what his money had done in the stock market, right? So he told the agent, I can't pull my money out. So the agent went and proved to him that he lied to his agent, proved to him that he was hiding something from his wife, and they just hated the agent after that because of how it was handled. So, at the points Calvin's making, these are things I think you can take into your everyday life. Slow down, listen, be engaged, and know what's up. Know what your prospects are saying, find out what they're feeling, and then just offer simple solutions. It's not rocket science. So that's how I would recommend adapting, whether you're a new agent or whether you've been in the business for 50 years.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So for some reason I can't see the chat box now. So that was pretty much most of what I had to say. Obviously, we're going to have buyers who had pent up demand, and then buyers who want to take advantage of the low interest rates. With the low interest rates, with the Fed cutting the interest rates even lower, this is a great time to buy from that perspective. Maybe not from the who knows what's going to happen in the future. Nobody can predict the future, but home ownership is still the American dream. My wife and I recently purchased a home that we'd wanted to purchase for years in 16. And I was like, man, the market keeps going up and up and up. And I knew it was going to slow down. And I'm like, you know what? It's my personal home. I justified it because I'm like, listen, I am buying an investment, but more than that, I need a roof over my wife and my head. It's the American dream. I've always wanted to own a home. I'm going to buy anyways, regardless of what's happened. Now, obviously prices went up a little bit more since then, but way calmer than in the price point that I was at, where I was at than the times before. But I wanted to own a home. I wanted to fulfill the American dream. So that's never going to go away, in my opinion, based on my experience helping people. So buyers are going to want to take advantage of the low interest rates. They're going to be in a good position. They're going to know that people are going to be motivated to sell. They've been struggling probably to buy, especially if they're out west in a market that has low inventory, which is most markets across America, not everyone, but a lot. It's a great time to buy. So these are a handful of the big ideas that you can go out, and obviously there's a lot more. So my question to you guys is, what other ideas, other than what we put on the list, do you have for going out and get listings? What is working for you? This is more of a conversation than us telling you what's working for us, because our goal is to take this. What is it that you guys are the most excited about? What can we go out, write blog posts on, do research, interview other agents that are successful in the business? Because that's what our goal is. That's what our goal is with Smart Agents, to go find smart agents out there in the business, bring it back, and share it with the community so we can all succeed, especially in a time like this. As things change, agents need the information to make the right decisions. So what is it that you guys want to do, have done? What are you most interested in? How can we serve you in relation to this before we go to the next slide? So type it in the chat box, and let's go through some of the questions. Michael, I don't know if you see any of them. I'm not seeing them like I was seeing before. Let's talk about some of them before we go to the next point.
Yeah, I think one of the ones, I think we've touched on this a little bit, for Margie in particular, for new agents that maybe don't have a big sphere and a big, past client list, what are some things they can do?
I mean, if it was me and I was a new agent and new market, I didn't have a big sphere, I would go after expireds. I don't know that many people, as many FSBOs, but if FSBOs pop up, I would go after for sale by owners. If you are excited about, if one of these things speak to you, for me, it's where am I naturally leaning? I've talked to many agents that are like, I won't touch expireds, or I won't touch FSBOs, or I love FSBOs, but not expireds. If you're naturally leaning towards something, like maybe you're really analytical and you're not as good with people, well, maybe an investor, going after the investor niche is right for you, because you can analyze the deals, you can look through them, you can answer investors' number questions, because they're making a less of an emotional buy, and they're making a buy based on logic and based on stats. If that's you, maybe investors are right. I know that I talk to agents, and I even know that, Joe, you talked to agents that during the last recession, agents did phenomenal that were maybe more business-oriented, more process-oriented. There's some people that are just absolutely charismatic and great salespeople. If that's the case, maybe going after investors is not even necessary, because you'll absolutely thrive with overcoming people's biggest concerns. If that's the case, go after expireds, withdrawals, canceled listings, vacant homes, anyone who's going for sale by owner. But if that's not you, lean to where your strengths are. That's where I would start. If you have a bunch of old friends, and like I've seen agents come into a market, thinking of a market I was sold real estate in when I first got in business, that knew a ton of people in the community. Her husband was a builder. He built a bunch of homes. She got in the market, absolutely crushed it. Now, she was an aggressive agent. That's really, really good. But she had a huge sphere, and she knew a lot of people, and she turned that into gold in the market. So really, what are your strengths and how can you play to them? And that's a personal question. I can't answer that because everyone's different and everyone knows where they lean. So that's what I would respond to that type of a question.
Yeah, and then another one here from Penny. She asked, how do we get the message out with a do not call list? And I think right above that in the comment section is from Robin Barnes, saying there'll be a lot of pent-up demand over. So getting your mailing prospect, I think that's a great way to get the mailing is a great way to get your name out there right now.
Yeah, direct mail is key, especially with older clientele. And even what we've seen is as digital marketing has picked up, and as a lot more people have gone after stuff like social media, for an example, or emails, or stuff that's easy and low barrier of entry, a lot of people have gotten away from direct mail. We're big on direct mail. That's how I succeeded as a new agent, was direct mail like crazy. Right now, direct mail is keen from what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. So I agree with you on that, Michael.
Yeah, and then just in from Noah, the changing the mindset of the client to help them see that now is a great time to buy, because interest rates are low, but they need to hear it from the expert, the agent. That's what they need to hear. And I think that's fantastic.
Joe, any thoughts you have before we go on to the next point?
I'd say if someone's sitting in their house and you send them a knockout package and you send them a book, my kids are getting sick of watching TV, right? We're going to board games. Kids are home, and it's all these other activities, and it's a lot of fun. And so they're looking for ways to get away from the news media. I mean, people get sick of that. And if you can give them a book, they can learn something about how to sell their home, and then you can have a personal message with that. I would say now is the time to do that, because a lot of people are just sitting on their hands. A lot of agents are sitting on their hands, and they're going to try to just wait this out. But now's the time to plant seeds, because when the sun shines, when the rain comes, those are what's going to grow into listings and really just launch your business to the next level, because you have done the work that others didn't think was possible or wasn't willing to do. So that would be my number one thing. Send mail out, send your books, follow up with phone calls. You can do that because people are in their home.
Yeah, they're paying attention. I liked what William said. He said real estate is all about what's going on in people's lives. People have kids, they need a bigger place, divorce, they got to sell, they retire. And one thing I'll tell you this, I don't know about you guys, I love my wife to pieces, but when I go on vacation and I've had a lot of time with her, I'm ready to get back to work. I like her, but I also think, what did they say? What is it? Distance or whatever makes the heart grow fonder, whatever that saying is. I love my wife to pieces, but I also like to be at work. People are going to be at home with their kids. They're all going to be off work, and over time they're going to go nuts. So now is a good time to start some new conversations, because people are going to be like Joe was saying, the kids are sick of the TV. Now it's board games. What's going to happen in 15 days? That's a long time. Okay, 14, 13, whatever we got left. Will that be continued? Get out there, get in the community, start conversations, be the voice of reason, and that can lead into listings just in itself. So there's so many ways to take this right now, and so many ways to go up and show up and lead and help, that it's insane. I think there's endless. What did boost ads online, Facebook, Instagram? People are scrolling through social media even more than usual. I agree with that. People are all over it. So it's easy to do. There's YouTube videos out there. There's courses on it. I don't know that we have any resources. Michael, do we have any resources on the Smart Agents blogs, or do we even have any agents that have done Facebook that would do an interview that we could turn into content? So the other thing I'll mention is, this is about a conversation. If you guys have ideas, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to learn what you're doing and turn it into videos that other agents can use during these times to get more business.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't have, currently there is not a course or a video about Facebook ads specifically. So if anybody on here does that, we would love to talk to you about how you do it and what your process is for that.
Yeah, and it's not hard. We run a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads to agents like you guys, and it's not hard. It's pretty easy. If you're pretty tech savvy, it's not difficult. I wouldn't tell my dad to do it though, because he still has a lot of questions, which is fine. It's great. Everyone's at a different spot, so it's play to your strengths. That's where I'm at. Play to your strengths and use those to get business. Let me go into now what I'd like to do is kind of switch gears. What are some of the stuff? These are just resources. These are some of the things that we pulled together. This isn't rocket science. This is high level. It's hard to get into the weeds in a webinar like this, because this is a conversation. Where can we go from here? How can we help you? So over the next 90 days, what are some of the things you guys can do? Obviously, virtual meetings, FaceTime. Everyone has a smartphone. It's easy to have a FaceTime conversation. You can even do a listing appointment. Technology is an issue. I dropped from the thing. I think I have good internet, but Zoom dropped me. Zoom is another one that you can use. You can use Skype. We have articles on this. Do a lot of virtual meetings. Get comfortable with the technology. Zoom can also you can even download an app on your phone. I've done Zoom meetings right from my cell phone. I'm on my computer now, but technology is technology. It still glitches. Do virtual listing presentations. Make a virtual connection. Seeing us face-to-face, I don't know if you guys are looking at us, but that can even make an impression. I know I can build a strong relationship when I can see Joe's facial expressions, hear his voice. That's a lot stronger than just a phone call. There is studies out there that prove when you can see and hear, your comprehension goes up. People understand you easier. You can build that rapport. If other agents are resistant to it, do it. It's going to help you. You can close the deals online with DocuSign. You can use a digital book. If you're an Authorify member, we can get you a digital book where you can literally just take one of your books like this, text or email it out to a seller before you have a virtual listing presentation. There's a lot of things you can do if you're willing to get creative. Now's the time to get a little uncomfortable, because it's going to require that. And then even with buyers, if I was working with buyers, I would have some virtual meetings. I pull up Google Maps. Google Maps is awesome. And I drive through the neighborhoods on Google Maps, sharing my screen, just like I'm sharing my screen with you. We're using Zoom right now. And I think Zoom even has some plans where they're waiving the fees because of what's going on right now. They're like, listen, we're going to help the community. I think that's awesome. I'm behind that type of thing. That's what we need. Get on Google Maps, go to realtor.com, Zillow, whatever it takes, and go through these homes with buyers. The other thing I'll mention is improving your listings. If you have listings and sellers are like freaking out, I don't want anyone in my home right now. There are a lot of little, really easy, simple things that you can do to improve your listing's virtual appeal, if you want to call it that. You can get better pictures. You can enhance them. You can do floor plans. I think we interviewed somebody at the NAR event when we were there with the booth. I think, Joe, you interviewed somebody. And they can do a floor plan for like, what, 30, 40 bucks? And then from there, you can do virtual tours. Like I was on Zillow the other day, looking around at listings, and there's someone had a really good virtual tour, and I went through the whole house with it. I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. I don't know what they were using. It was like a 3D software, but it was top notch. I felt like I had walked through the home with my wife, even though I had it. Another thing is videos. Videos aren't as hard as they used to be. There's so much good technology out there to create videos. This is one of the things I think you're going to teach on, Michael, is how to actually create some videos and put it out there. So those are some of the biggest things. My thing that I want to do is, Joe, what else do you have to add to it? And what are you as an agent, what are you doing to get listings, to make your listings more appealing and kind of overcome this? Are you using Zoom? Are you using Skype? Are you using FaceTime? What is working for you? What can you share with the rest of the agents that can help us? So I'll leave it to you guys. Give us some feedback. Joe, anything you want to add?
And I'll say with events, like video events, live events, I've done listing presentations for clients who were prospects and then became clients through a presentation online as a real estate agent. They were out of town, and instead of just getting on the phone, I shared my screen, did a presentation, and she said, oh my gosh, I can't believe how clear this has made it to me. Double path readership, right? Seeing my face, hearing my voice, seeing the slides. You can make a connection online and get listings that way. How do I know? Because I've done it and I'm no spokesman. You're only going to get better by doing it. And that's what I love about Zoom. You get to practice, right? You see your facial expressions, and this can help you on video. Because on video, there's small things, as Michael knows, that make a big difference. I mean, whether you're looking down, looking up someone's nose like that when they're trying to talk, or you get a direct shot. Eye contact's important. How you use hand gestures. They're up here. They're not down here, right? How you don't, you're not going to want to make ugly faces at people because they see you. So make happy faces, right? We're going to smile. We're going to be excited. We're going to be energetic. That in a video ad, in a conversation, in a presentation, these are things that I've seen public speakers who have crushed it on the stage, politicians who have defeated their opponent, still not know how to get on video, right? They're afraid of the camera. I had one, and she just beads of sweat. She said, get that one-eyed monster away from me. The camera. She said, I cannot look at that camera. It's so intimidating. I talk to agents, they tell me the same thing. They say, Joe, I don't like my face. Well, guess what? Everybody has seen your face for a long time, and I think they like it. So, own video. Now is a great time to get practice by doing events like this with your prospects, clients. You could host live events on how to buy or sell in this economy, how to start marketing your house in the San Francisco area while everything's shut down. People are home. They would probably watch if they were thinking about selling.
Yeah, and to that, talking about live events and things like that, I mean, with Facebook Lives and things like that, you could host live open houses on Facebook. So where maybe the people aren't coming to the open house, but you're giving a virtual tour live. You can kind of narrate, and the technology, it's all right in here. I was a news photographer for 12 years, and quite honestly, we use this quite a bit as we were, as I was leaving the business.
And there's another thing I'll add to that is there's a quote that's always helped me, because anytime you do something the first time, I have a tendency that I want to make it perfect. And it's, what is it? Analyst by paralysis. Is that how you say it? But long story short, there's a quote that really, really helped me, especially when it comes to getting on camera, because I don't enjoy it. I'm an introvert. I don't want to be on camera. I would be fine if no one ever saw my face, but I know it makes a difference, so I'm willing to show up and do it. I'm willing to get uncomfortable. Their saying is, if you're not embarrassed of where you started too late. And that's always served me well as I've got out there and started doing stuff. I said, listen, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human. I'm not a robot. I'm going to fail from time to time. I'm going to accept that before I even get started. And listen, if I'm not embarrassed of where I started and I made it perfect the first time, I started too late. I have to say that 100% of the time, I always look back, as probably do you, and say I could have done it better last time. Regardless of what it was, whether it's an event like this, it crashed on us today. What can we do? We show up and we make the best of it. Nothing ever goes as planned. So just embrace it. Embrace the chaos. For some of us, it's easier. For me, it's not as easy because of my personality. But if you're a free spirit, it's probably a lot easier. You probably don't mind it as much. So I will mention that. One other question I saw that came in is, where can they get floor plans for 30 to 40 bucks? Do we have William asked that. Joe, you interviewed somebody at NAR. Do you remember the company?
I'm going to pull it up right. I'm going to pull our blog up right now and get the name of the company.
Okay, because I'll talk about the company real quick. They did a great job on not just doing a floor plan, but creating a story about the house. And I'm a big fan of story, because in housing, that house tells a story, especially if that person had kids or they're moving to a new house. They want to imagine life in that house. You're showing them a house with square footage and location and schooling. They're seeing my son sitting at that counter at the end of a football game, right? Playing a board game in the kitchen or in the living room with my family, Christmas. They're seeing all these things in a house. And so a floor plan really does that, creates a story about the house.
Yeah, and the name of the company is homediary.com. If you go on our YouTube page, the interview that Joe did with them is on there as well. And we have a blog article on our blog site.
Yeah, their name says it, Home Diary. And then they really help create emotion around the whole floor plan.
Yeah, so we've spent an hour up to this point, and I appreciate everyone showing up and contributing and helping us with this. What we'd like to do from here is let us know how we can continue to help, because this is the first of what we'd like to contribute to the community to help you guys succeed in these times ahead. This isn't over. This is just getting started, according to a lot of experts. So what can we do? What's tools? What strategies? What ideas are you guys the most excited about that we can create more on? If you guys don't mind, go to the chat box really quick and let us know, what is the biggest thing that you believe we can do to serve you guys in the community? And really, is there anything that you can add to the community? Is there something that we could have Michael, Joe, or myself get on the phone with you and do an interview and write up a blog that we could share with others? Because I believe the economy is in the balance, so to speak, and how people like us as leaders in the industry get up and serve is going to impact it. Yes, it's going to be a small impact, but if enough of us come together, the impact could be great. I truly believe that. So what is it that we can do to serve you in the coming weeks, in the coming months ahead, to help you through and help you do better in your business? So take a few minutes or a few seconds, chat it there for us. Our whole goal here was to show up and serve. Joe and Michael, do you guys have anything else? And I'll add one thing before to close out and give you guys a gift if you guys would like it, to help you take your business to the next level if you so choose to accept. Joe, anything to add? Michael?
No, I think one of the big things we're seeing is people are.
Did I lose you guys again?
Oh, you there?
Calvin, did you have any more technical difficulties? He's paused.
Let me ping him again.
Okay. I think what Calvin's really saying is, how can we help you? How can we help you help yourself, right? We're here to serve, and sometimes the most frustrating part of trying to serve is trying to figure out what people need, because we don't want to create something that's just going to make noise. If there's anything that we can do to help you, we're here to help. We're here to support you in any way we can. In the real estate industry, in this time of uncertainty, right? Things are really up in the air right now. What's Christine say? I would love to hear what resources agents are using to get their content for direct mail as well as social media. It's a, oh, he's back. Calvin's back.
I don't know what's happening with this thing. All right, sorry, keep going. So anything else? I don't know what said since it just dropped me. See,
Okay,
this is
Calvin,
technology.
I have a question for you before you fall out of the sky. What would you recommend? Okay, the question just went away. It's back up here. Okay, I would love to hear what resources agents are using to get their content for direct mail as well as social media. How can you help agents do that?
Okay, good question. So one thing that we have and is Authorify.com. We actually can help you with a book. I've been doing direct mail for 14 years in the real estate market. The thing that has worked the best is a book like this. So we've done direct mail when we showed up and we turned it into a book, put your photo on the cover. That's been the thing that's been the most successful in going after expireds, FSBOs, vacant homes, investors, you name it. If you guys would like to try this out for free, this isn't really a pitch. This isn't what the point of it is, but I'd like to give you guys an opportunity, make you a special offer. You'd like to claim it. I believe it will help. It's what I would do as an agent right now. If you want to get 10 books for free, try it out. Just covers the shipping, I think $7. Go to Authorify.com. I don't know if I can type it in or maybe I can pull it up. Authorify.com/trial. Check it out. Claim 10 books for free. If you're already a member, we can create a digital book for you. If you don't already have one, you have a designated coach as a member. I'm sure we have some members on board. If you want our help in any way, reach out to your designated coach. Let them know what you're doing, or have a consulting call with them. Hey, here's what I want to do. Here's what we talked about. How can you help? What book do you have? Because we have around 20 books written for different industries. You can log in, customize it as much or as little as you'd like. Authorify.com/trial. If you want to check it, can we type it and put it in the chat box, Michael, the link? Is that possible?
Yeah,
if so, drop it in. But yeah, so get 10 free books, sign up, try Authorify for 30 days. If you don't like it, cancel. Our goal is here to help. If you don't see it's right for you, that's up to you. Our goal is here to serve. Our goal is here to help you, whatever way we can do that. It doesn't matter if you use our book or you go use a different system or if you go do social media. I don't care what you do. What really matters at this point is that you change with the market, you adjust, and you stay in business and you show up and serve and help. It doesn't matter if you use the books or if you use something else. What really matters here is mindset. Let's show up, let's serve, let's make a comeback in the economy, let's help people stay positive, let's affect the people around us. I believe each of us in our own community can affect the people around us. We can affect them in a good way or a bad way. It's our choice. We can add to the drama, to the fear, or we can add to the positivity, like, guys, we are going to get through this. We're stronger than this. We are Americans. Let's rise up. Or if you're Canadians, it doesn't matter where you're at. Rise up, overcome it, be the voice of reason, be an expert. Sellers need us more than they've ever needed us before. So whether you use a book or you use something else, I don't care. What matters the most today is that you do something. You make a decision. Where are you going to stand? Are you going to freeze? Are you going to hide? Are you going to become a hoarder? Are you going to go to the grocery store and buy all the toilet paper like everyone else? I mean, I get it. There's no toilet paper left. It's kind of a bad deal. Joey got some. Great. So here we go. So what have you been doing? Drawing on your toilet paper the whole time we've been having this meeting?
I'm going to remember this event.
I don't even know what it says. What does it say?
It says the Corona. Yeah, that's what it says. Right?
I see it. I don't know what I'd call you, but more power to you. If it works, it works.
Oh, it works good.
Have fun with it. It's too fun. All right. With that, let us know how we can serve. If you want 10 free books, claim them at Authorify.com/trial. Did you pop that in the description, Michael, or the chat? Okay. So see it there. Okay. And the other thing I'll add is let's continue the conversation. We are really active on Facebook, on Instagram, Smart Agents. We also have Authorify. Smart Agents is where we're going to be going out there and helping the most as far as like interviews and buckling it down. Authorify is for our books and the campaigns and the direct mail we we do for agents. So check that out if you want. Obviously, the main site is a lot more expensive than the offer I made you at authorify.com/trial. So either way, we're here to serve. Let us know how we can help. If you have something to contribute, put in the chat box. We can go through the chat log later, reach out to you. Michael, Joe, or myself may reach out to you, ask to have an interview and talk to you about any of the strategies that you can add to. We got a lot of really good feedback. Obviously, this Smart Agents isn't just about me or Joe or Michael or any of us. It's about the community. What are smart agents doing in the industry that we can compile and learn from? If we work together on this, I believe we're going to get ahead a lot faster, a lot farther, collaborating, being smart, being logical, having the right mindset than if we were to work alone. So don't hide yourself away in your home. And even if you're quarantined, get on the internet, figure out what you're going to do, talk to us. Let's work together. Let's turn things around. Let's be a voice of reason. Let's be strong in where we stand, and let's help turn this market around and make this as positive as we absolutely can in these hard times. That's what I have to say. So anything else you guys want to add before we close it out today?
I think you wrapped it up.
That's it. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for joining. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.